Hello, and welcome to today's discussion with Katie Mehnert, founder and CEO of Ally Energy, and recognized by the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston as a 2021 Global Leader of Influence. I am Marian Maldonado, Chief Executive Officer of the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston, and I hope you and your families are doing well. Katie, welcome and congratulations.
Thanks so much. It's good to see you.
Great to see you. Well, as many of you know, the World Affairs Council of Houston is dedicated to honoring individuals who've contributed to the international spirit of our city. And in celebration of these individuals, the World Affairs Council hosts an international recognition luncheon to highlight their achievements. Our 2021 Global Leaders of Influence, and I hope all of you will join us for this great fun luncheon. It's October 14th at the Post Oak Hotel in Houston. And you can find out more about the luncheon and joining us or all of the council's programming on our website at wachouston.org. Now it's my privilege to introduce Katie. Katie Mehnert is founder and CEO of Ally Energy, an energy company focused on investing in equitable energy transition and addressing the energy workforce of the future. She has held global leadership positions with BP and Shell in both safety and environmental preservation. In 2020, she was appointed as ambassador to the U.S. Department of Energy and testified before Congress on the clean energy workforce of the future. She's been published in Scientific America, Forbes, The Hill, CNBC, CNN, and other international outlets. She is also founder of Lean In Energy, a nonprofit devoted to mentorship in the energy sector. Katie, in addition to all your achievements, you're also a 4-time marathoner and completed London, Chicago, New York, and Berlin. How do you have time for all this?
That was pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. Well, I read all about you, and I'm so excited that you are recognized as one of our global leaders of influence. Tell us a little bit about Ally Energy, how it was conceived and what it really is meant to do.
Well, so at Ally, we believe that everyone can be a force for good. The planet, everything around us is changing. And we believe that the energy transition is here. It's going to take time, but it's also going to take a lot of people. And so we've got to bring as many diverse mindsets to the table, as many diverse skill sets to the table. And that's what we address. We are a platform solutions company looking to bring together community, careers, and skills in one place to give people the option for jobs and opportunities as we move through the energy transition.
Well, I heard that this idea was conceived during a long international flight. How did you see a need? What were you seeing in the marketplace that really gave you the impetus to start Ally?
So I had actually just read Lean In by one of my dear mentors, Sheryl Sandberg, who's with Facebook. And I remember thinking, gosh, if I could do something that was different, what would I do? And her question is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And after years of being in health and safety and environment, one of the things I noticed was that more diverse teams drove better outcomes. And I think that's especially important because what I saw in the market was a lot of effort being put forward to get more women into the energy industry, but not a lot of organization around rallying that together. And so what Pink Petro did when we first started, because that was our original name, was we sought to address gender diversity in the oil and gas industry. But I knew many years ago that it would take some time to get people focused on not just oil and gas, but all the forms of energy that we have, and really all the kinds of different people we have. Gender diversity was what got the conversation going, but there are different ethnicities, different backgrounds. We need all people, all talent available in order to make this transition a reality. So I saw a gap. I saw lots of things that were happening, very, very noble things. But if you want to make change happen, you've got to create a movement. You've got to create a shift. And you create a shift by bringing those things together and using our digital voice to make that progress.
So there's so many different perspectives in the energy industry. What do you see the industry having allies been in existence for a little while now? What do you see shifting, not just in terms of conventional energy transition, but in terms of workforce development?
Well, we have a massive opportunity, particularly here in the United States as well. You know, energy is an enduring business. That means it's not going away. And neither is tech. So I see a lot of really interesting collisions happening between climate, environment, energy, and technology. The next generation workforce expects digital. They want everything in the palm of their hand or on their wristwatch. And so what I believe we have is a huge opportunity, particularly post-COVID. If you look at history has taught us that times of disease, times of war, times of difficulty, that what comes on the other side of that is a flourishing of innovation. So I see a lot of desire around making the workforce more open. But I also see that COVID has made the workforce more flexible. And I think you're going to see that the collision of technology and climate, environment, and energy is coming together in a way that we've never seen. And the workforce is excited about that.
So I love the name Ally. Tell me a little bit about how you transitioned from Pink Petro to Ally.
Well, a couple of years ago, I got called to testify before Congress. And I remember looking around the room and feeling, wow, I'm that oil and gas girl from Texas, with the big hair, the typical stereotypes, because bias does exist outside of just gender. Where you're from and what part of the industry you're from can send all kinds of different messages. But I remember looking around the room and saying, everyone's saying the same thing. We all need great talent and we're all Americans and we care about this. But what can we do, to make that shift? And so it was actually, for a while I knew we wanted to make the shift not just away from just oil and gas and being more inclusive to other forms. So I just started having conversations with my customers, and I said, what do you think? And they're like, look, we love what you're doing, but the name probably could take a change. So we thought to ourselves, what do we want to be? We want to be beyond Pink. We want to be beyond Petro. And it wasn't until early in the pandemic, my daughter, Allie, spelled Ally, was trying to get me to go outside to play with her. Finally would, I said, sweetheart, I'm trying to come up with this thing. I'm designing. I'm trying to be creative. And she looks at me and she says, Mom, you overthink things. Sometimes the answer is right in front of your face. So we are super committed to this transition, this transformation. And now I get to see my daughter's name every day, right, on the company. And so that's what keeps me going. It's not easy as a startup. We've bootstrapped ourselves to a 7-figure revenue stream. And we've got more coming. We've done some acquisitions. We're, in the middle of a high growth period. And so a lot of times I have to get back to what's driving me, and what's driving me is that little girl. She's now growing into a young woman.
And leaving a legacy. What a wonderful thing. So tell us, what does it mean to be an ally? Maybe also, who are your customers and who becomes allies for those who are watching?
Sure. So we work right now with about 45 corporations, and then we have individuals who, become a member of our platform. But what that means is, well, first of all, so I earlier said that being an ally is being a force for good. We want everybody to feel included in this transition that we're in energy. And we believe that we do that by building a bridge. And as you can imagine today, living in the times we're in, we're very decisive, right? We're very either or. Well, we kind of see it as an and, we see it as an all. And actually ALL is part of ALLY. I remind people that all people are needed, all forms of energy are needed, and all ideas matter. So when a company works with us, we help them to advance their diversity and inclusion, their culture around that. We work specifically with the organization to address ESG goals, so environment, social, and governance. We help them find great quality, highly skilled talent. And then we help individuals develop themselves. Many of them are saying, what do I need to do in order to be a part of this transition? What skills do I need to develop? What courses do I need to have? What networks do I need to have? There's a proliferation of information today. LinkedIn and Facebook and all the big box channels have done a really good job at making things very ubiquitous. This is a focused platform to bring together solutions and people and skills and make people all feel included.
So I know the workforce is changing. We're here talking electronically. What are you seeing kind of happen? What trends are you seeing happen in the e-workforce? What are allies looking to do and contribute to the energy industry?
Well, the workforce in energy is no longer yesterday's workforce. So I think COVID has sent a message to everyone that we need flexibility, particularly around families. I think that the workforce we were short on incoming talent prior to COVID, and even prior to oil's epic fall in 2014. And we could probably debate whether there've been even more epic falls. There was a negative price environment at one point last year. We've always been short on talent. And so now talent shortages combined with COVID new norm expectations is going to create a workforce that's going to be very employee driven. And so employers have to know how they're going to play that game. You can be the best and you could have the best assets. You could have the best offering. If you don't have a culture that's welcoming, that's inviting, that's flexible, you're going to find that that's what's going to separate the winners from the losers in the market. So the S in ESG is absolutely important. And what we tell employers is that employees really have the keys to drive what's needed. Now, on the other side of it, job seekers, I tell them, be patient. There are a lot of people who want to be a part of the energy transition. We hear things about wages and wage losses and wage differences. The market for new energy is here. So with time, those skills, there will be massive shortages. And I fully expect we are always going to be short on energy talent. It's a national security issue. It's why the United States Department of Energy is working across the aisle and with private citizens and companies to address it. So I see shortages, which I also think nets huge opportunities for candidates and caution and concern for companies who don't have a plan.
So I have a couple of questions from some great students. I love when students give us these questions because they're really kind of cool questions and we get to hear some maybe more personal thoughts from you. So looking back, any suggestions you'd give your younger self, career, education, personal?
Sure. I tell young people all the time, you can't Photoshop personality. We live in a world that's very social, that's very on display, and we can't assume what we see is always the case, right? So I try to encourage people to be their authentic selves, embrace the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Own your future and own your mistakes. Mistakes are a huge part of success. So I think people look, on social media, they look at our company, they look at me, and they have all these impressions. And that's where we have to remove the bias. We have to say, what does it take to get there? Well, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of perseverance, and it takes a lot of failure. So don't feel like you have to be something, be yourself.
That's so true. It's great to be authentic and to ensure that you're being open and honest with all of our concerns, especially in today's environment. We talked a little bit about your marathon days. What's your current hobby? We have a question from Jamal.
Well, I'm really glad you asked this question. So my current hobby is actually to get back into my old hobby. One of the things that I love to tell students too is don't let work consume the joy out of life. There's this phrase out there, you can look it up. It's called YOLO. You only live once, and it's the truth. We've seen so many people through COVID. We've seen massive loss of life, and so one of the things that I'm learning actually from people is stick to my hobbies. So I'm actually getting ready back to running, getting fit again. I'm very excited about that. So hopefully I'll have another marathon on the on the bio. But I think it's important to have things outside interests, outside of work. I think that work is important. It's got to be meaningful. It's a big part of our day, but it's absolutely important that we find things to do. The other thing I would say that I'm really interested in right now is just reading, getting caught up on all the great books and the things that I've sacrificed in the last 6 years to build a company. So I really like to read and I really like to run.
That's it's so interesting. So many books have come out recently just because during quarantine we all decided, or some decided, to write books. Is there a book in your future?
So I wrote a book and I launched it during COVID. It's very interesting. It's called Grow with the Flow. And I said, this is one of my hobbies. I want to write a book. And I have been writing this book for 20 years. And it took Hurricane Harvey, losing my home and the business, because we were a part of the dam release on the west side of Houston, to really kind of finish the book. And so I had 15 cities, 15 speaking gigs in 2020, all lined up. The boxes were ready to go from the printer. And then they landed in the man cave at my house. My husband's still like, when are all of these books going to get out of here? I'm like, as soon as you read the book, more than once. But I will tell you this, writing a book was a cathartic experience. I'm actually on a second book. It's a children's book. Oh. And the children's book is to address women in energy and STEM careers. My co-author, who's actually she's the creator of the book, Erin Twomley. We're launching it on March 8th, 2022. So on International Women's Day. But it's intended to help children, like my daughter's age, Allie, at 10, they are making these decisions. So I probably think there'll be a third book about building a business and maybe exiting that business. And then maybe I'll just continue to write books on fun things. That's actually going to probably become a hobby one day, is just writing the books. But I'm glad you asked the question, because it was a cathartic experience. I think anybody who's been through anything challenging and has a story to tell should put those words to paper.
Well, I think it's apparent to everyone who's watching why you are a 2021 Global Leader of Influence. We are so, so honored to recognize you, all your contributions, from your energy background to Pink Petro, now to Ally Energy. How can people get more involved or more aware about what you're doing?
Sure. So you can check out Ally Energy at allyenergy.com. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn, and you can also go to katiemehnert.com.
Great. Thank you, Katie. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.